Hi there, it's Kalyn with a Paper Smooches card tutorial. Today I'm using the Positive Strokes 2 set and these Happy Birthday Words die set to make a birthday card. And I'm using this Pinterest image that I found from A Beautiful Mess. And I just loved this painting that she showed in the room here. And I wanted to take my Positive Strokes set and make a similar background. And I was just really inspired by it, thought it was gorgeous, and wanted to take similar ink colors that I have and just create that same effect. And I also wanted to show how you can take these paint stroke stamps and make them look like actual paint strokes. So it saves the time of watercoloring or using acrylic paint, and you can just use your stamps and it looks almost identical. So I'm just going to start stamping those down. So first I'm taking this one stamp and using the soft pink ink from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to stamp that a bunch of times on the front of the card, kind of as my base layer. And this is the coolest tone pink that I have in my ink collection, so I'm using this mostly because the Pinterest image has a lot of that really cool tone bright pink. So I don't have something identical to that, but this is the closest thing I could find, and I think that it works pretty well. Now I'm just taking another stamp in the set and doing the same thing, using that same color of ink and just stamping it down the front of the card. And this just helps give some variety to the look of the paint strokes and just helps it look even more natural and even more like the painting. And now just adding a couple more stamps using another stamp in the stamp set and just kind of overlapping some of them and just creating as much of this pink base as I can. So now I'm taking the next color, which is Raspberry Jam, also by Hero Arts, and I'm going to take another paint stroke stamp and I'm going to ink it up, but not fully. And that's the key to kind of making these paint strokes look even more natural and more like paint, is that I was just dipping some of the ends, like the top and the bottom of the stamp in there, and skipping the middle. So it just looks even more natural and kind of textural, just like the painting on the wall from the Pinterest image. So now I wanted to add some red into this because the painting definitely has a really bright red quality to it. So I'm using Red Royal from Hero Arts, but it's not quite the exact color that I wanted. It's just the closest red that I have. So clearly another excuse to go get some new inks. But I did want to include this color red because it does have this on the Pinterest image. So I just stamped a few little brush strokes using the same technique I did with the Raspberry Jam ink, only doing the tops and bottoms, so it gives it that really natural look. And then I decided to go over top of it with some pale tomato ink because I thought that would help brighten that red color. And it really did. It actually did help kind of give it more of that vibrant look rather than like a brick red look. So I like the way that this turned out, and it just gave it a closer resemblance to the image I was going for. And then to finish off my stamping, I just did a little bit of black ink because the image definitely has some touches of black in it in the paint strokes. So just inking up my stamp very slightly here, just getting some ends dipped in that ink and then pressing it down. I probably could have done a little bit less of this, and you'll see I kind of wiped some off with my finger here just because I didn't want it to get too saturated. But I do think that this black is necessary. It's definitely part of the image and I wanted to keep it as close to that as possible. So after that, I decided I wanted to resaturate that lightest pink color and try to make it stand out. So I just went over top of a lot of these images with that soft pink color again, just to try to really make that more saturated, because as these inks dry, they tend to lighten a little bit. So just wanted to build up that color. Now just taking my Happy Birthday word die and die cutting that out of some plain white cardstock, and then just going to adhere that to the center of my card using my Tombow Mono multi glue. And I chose white for the color of my sentiment because my inspiration image was very, very stark white, and I really loved the quality of that because it just made those colors pop and made them so intense, and I loved that look. So I knew that I wanted to stick with that theme and stick with a white sentiment. And I don't think it's too hard to read. I left the right and left side of this kind of lifted off the page a little bit to give it some dimension and make it a little bit easier to read, to create a little bit of a shadow. So that is it for today's card. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you liked another Pinterest-inspired card tutorial. So be sure to check out Paper Smooches for the stamps and dies that I used, and subscribe to my channel to catch my latest crafty videos.